Hi everyone, welcome back to Project Zoo. We're back with post-commentary on this one. I did have fun doing the live commentary on the last few videos, but shit like that is why I won't be doing it for this part. I will try to go back to doing live commentary for at least a little bit later on, but at least for this next level, it's all in post. I've already recorded all these things, and I'm showing you just a smackerel of all of the goofs and gaffes that I made in the course of trying to finish this part. And a lot of them I certainly will take the blame for of not being very good at the game because I haven't played it before. But at the same time, I am detecting a pretty decent helping of bullshit in this game, if I'm being honest. It hasn't made me hate the game, at least not yet. I still really like playing it, and it definitely is and includes a lot of things that I like about games and that I look for in games, as I've talked about before. So that hasn't changed. And here's me very much overthinking what I need to do here. But especially, as I've already mentioned before, with, like, the spacing of the jumping, and when I say spacing, I mean, like, it's difficult to tell where things are in relation to you, like, what is hitting you, what you're touching, you know, and that can be bad with jumps, that can be bad with enemies, especially these fuckers who have their metal bodies and shoot out fire, and I never fucking know how to beat them. My assumption with those, and then the other ones, the spiky ones, which we'll get to later, I think you're supposed to stomp them when they don't have their big bonker billies out, whatever the spikes and the penguin's head and whatnot. But sometimes I'll do that, like, directly onto them, or at least I'll think it's directly onto them, and then nothing happens, or they just hurt me. So I mean, that's just confusing to me, and it seems very finicky and not consistent and annoying. So I don't love that. And then just, yeah, other than that, just jumping shit, you know, in terms of, I always think that I'm actually close to an edge, but then I'm not, or you fall through some stupid fucking crack that you can't see, which really gets to the main thing, and it really became more apparent in this level because there are a lot more, like, tight spaces in the, like, throughout this level than there have been so far, I think, is the camera. The camera in this game, like, swings around like fucking crazy, and about 60% of the time where I, like, fuck up a jump or am getting hit by something, it's because I can't see where the fuck I am because of the camera. So that's... I really wish that it either just, like, stayed behind you. I really don't like when games have, like, the camera has some, like, preset thing to swing around to a certain angle when you get to a certain part. Tomb Raider does that as well, where, like, if you don't move the camera around, and of course moving the camera around makes it, like, jitter and be terrible and even worse than not doing anything. Like, yeah, what the fuck is that about? It's fire shooting you 900 feet away. And with jumping over fire, I never know where the fuck it is. Like, the fire in this game exists in all directions, even when it's just shooting outward. Like, it looks like it's pointing straight out or maybe diagonal. And then, like, I'll go over it, or I'll think that I'm going over it, and then it'll just be, you know, this omnidirectional flame that murders me. So yeah, just a lot of bullshit like this that would not be fun with live commentary, because, for one thing, I would not be able to finish a single thought while getting knocked into the fire every 2 seconds. I don't know, I feel like it would just make me angrier. When I have to, like, say things, like, be saying things on the fly as I'm playing something, and I'm, like, sucking at it and getting pissed off, it makes my being pissed off worse. Which I just don't think makes the commentary very fun. But anyway, yeah, I just had to get a little bit of bitching in because some things in this game are annoying me. But once again, I'm sure that at least a big part of that is just it being the first time I'm going through the game and not really being used to how everything feels. But I'll completely stand by my camera criticism because it fucking sucks. It has been consistently bad so far throughout my playthrough of it, regardless of what I'm doing with the camera or the character or what level I'm in. Although, like I said, it's much more noticeable in this one because there are a lot more tight spaces in this level than, you know, because like the treehouse level or whatever where the elephants were, that was kind of more open. And this one is a lot more corridors and very narrow pathways that you can very easily run into shit that you can't see because the camera is busy shooting itself into a rock. So, I can't say I'm super cool about that, but everything else in the game is jolly good. Something else that's jolly good is the Wallace and Gromit movie, which since having recorded the last video of this, I've gone back and rewatched as I said I would. I watched it with Custard and Kevin, and yeah, it's a good movie. I'll say that it was better than I remembered, but that's probably just because I almost certainly did not understand about 80% of the jokes in that movie, even though it's a G-rated movie and definitely like family like friendly or whatever, but like not all of them were risque, although some were, but like I would not get them. Also, the more I watched movies that I watched as a kid, as an adult, I think I didn't know what anyone was saying in like 90% of the movies I've seen, because I'll hear lines that like now I hear and understand perfectly well, but when I first heard them as a kid, I was like, they were just noises. I had no idea what they were saying. Especially in something like Wallace and Gromit, where everyone is British and using British slang that I didn't know. But now I'm old and super cool, and so I got them this time around, and it's a very funny movie, and the animation is so nice looking. I think it's easy to, you know, especially in, you know, these days of like hyper-realistic computer effects and stuff, I think it's easy to kind of look at stop-motion animation and claymation as like quaint and, you know, not... I feel like anyone who knows what goes into making a stop-motion movie would agree that it's like hard work. I don't think anyone would say that it's easy necessarily. But that it looks on the surface more simple than it is, because there's a lot of shots in Wallace and Gromit that make pretty surprisingly little use of computer effects and non-in-camera effects. A lot of them being like the action shots, and the effect shots. And they're incredibly complicated to pull off. Like even just what may seem like rudimentary camera movements that in any other live-action movie, or even in a computer-generated movie where you're usually moving around a camera within a virtual 3D space, they would be, you know, kind of unremarkable and maybe even technically easy to do. Easy, you know, being a relative term, of course, but in stop motion, they are incredibly difficult, and I can't think of any examples right off the top of my head, but just generally, like, the action shots and the effect shots, especially in the latter half of the movie when things really, you know, get poppin'. And it just looks really great, and the jokes are really, like, they're simple, but they're all very well executed, and it's a just very, like, witty, sort of whimsical movie. It's the kind of kids movie that doesn't really come out anymore, where it kind of deals with, like, timeless things and timeless kinds of characters, and, you know, has that kind of wit and joke structure that adults can get into. It's not the kind of animated thing that is good for kids and adults in the way that they're, like, you know, adult jokes per se, but just that it's like, it's one of those cartoons, like older cartoons, that, you know, basically anybody could watch it, and if they have any, like, shred of, you know, humor or happiness in their soul, they'll probably get it and enjoy it. And yeah, you don't see those too much. And I mean, it's nice that, as far as I'm aware at least, Wallace and Gromit kind of, you know, that it's neat that it's a recognizable franchise and everything, but it hasn't gone, like, super overboard, and, you know, it's conquered a few mediums at this point, but it hasn't gotten to the point where, you know, they're, like, doing a fucking stupid-ass, terrible computer-animated spin-off show of it on Nickelodeon or whatever, and that was dog shit. And, you know, making Wallace and Gromit do, like, a weird rap and all that other bullshit that they do in kids' stuff now. It's like the Krabby Step, the SpongeBob song, for the new SpongeBob movie, which I still haven't seen, and I don't even know if in America it, like, came out yet, because I think it was in theaters in August, but nobody saw it, and now they're saying, like, the release date will just be sometime in 2021 on some streaming service, but, like, I thought it already came out, so I don't know what that means. But anyway, they made this song for it that they released, called the Krabby Step, which has Sway Lee and Tyga, who are rappers that I at least know about, but I don't listen to. And then, who's the other guy? I think his name is Lil Mosey. I'm not 11 years old, so I don't know a lot of, like, the very young, very popular new rappers that are out there. Also, I have no idea what to do in that part. As far as I can tell, you cannot get off of that platform that I just fell onto, and I don't know what you're supposed to do in there. If anyone wants to tell me, certainly can, but it doesn't seem like you need to do it to progress. There was a tool in there, which is why I guess it was worth doing and worth keeping in the video, but yeah, total dog shit. I'm like, I will not, that is not my skill, my lack of skill. That is a rock deciding to not be a solid object halfway through me running into it, and I fall to my death. No, that's total, that's heaps and heaps of bullshit there. Anyway, yeah, you just have to go down the ladder, but for some reason I decided I want to do something else. There's a little race thing that you can do that I tried and failed at, where you go through these little hoops that are not lit up at the moment. And yeah, these big boilers you can do stuff with. I'm sure there's something in there, and I was gonna go back and find it, but like find out what's in there, but I didn't do that. I'm definitely gonna be going back into all of these levels extensively later on in the game. I don't really know how it works. I think I was told that you can't go back until you've finished the game and, like, gotten the end game item. I don't know if that's true. If so, that kind of sucks. But, you know, I'll figure it out. But yeah, I'm not complaining about the Krabby Step. It's, it's a silly song, and, children, they like to wiggle to rap songs, so I understand. And I mean, it's just a current variation of what was going on when the first movie came out. They had all sorts of big guys, big names doing music for it. But back then it was like Avril Lavigne and Flaming Lips and Ween. Except Ween didn't make a song specifically for the movie. They just used a Ween song. But it was a good Ween song. But apparently that actually was a conversation with the movie in terms of, like, they wanted to get more big stars to do stuff, and Steven Hillenburg was apparently not about it and wanted to do music by people that he likes. And that I think fit the feel of SpongeBob. Like, the reason, like, I have, obviously, as a listener of it myself, I have nothing wrong with rap being in stuff, in principle, or being in kid stuff, or even being in reboots or sequels of stuff that I like, to sell stuff. Like, obviously, selling out and doing shit like that can suck, but there's plenty of stuff that I like that it definitely fits in that category. But it's just the fact that I feel like it dates it in some way. Like, the second SpongeBob movie was an interesting sort of midpoint between the first and third, having like popular people do music for it, because in that one it was Nerd, who, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody, or most people at least, would know who Pharrell is, but not everybody, and certainly not very many children, know what Nerd is. And the song itself doesn't sound like a rap song that would be on the radio or anything. It's a kind of, I don't even know how to describe it. There's not very much rapping in it. It's just sort of like semi-melodic talking, and a very, like, I don't know, bouncy, sort of silly kind of beat. Whereas Krabby Step is just like a very generic trap beat. It samples the Krusty Krab theme from the show, and it literally just sounds like one of those trap remixes of SpongeBob shit that you would find on YouTube. And then Tyga and all the other guys rap over it, and Lil Mosey's verse is really bad. He barely says anything. I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting to see the evolution, and of course it's mostly a depressing one. But I mean, and everyone can blame Hillenburg leaving as being the sort of when the shark jumping point for SpongeBob, and like when certain writers left. But I really think it's just as simple as the fact that the longer a TV show is on, the more bad it's going to eventually be. Like, there are very few shows that escape that, and most of the ones who do escape getting bad are the ones that end early. Like, The Simpsons, I'm not the first one to make this point, and sometimes I think about it with SpongeBob, even though, as always, I need to make the caveat that apparently, like, Season 8 onward of SpongeBob, while not, reaching the earlier heights, is apparently, like, good. There are people who stand by it. I haven't watched it, so I can't tell. But just in general, The Simpsons, it's definitely the case where you could make the argument that, pound for pound, The Simpsons is a bad show now, even though the first, like, 10 to 12 seasons are, like, some of the best and most recognized animation and comedy on TV from that time and probably ever. But now it's been on, twice as long as that afterward. Like, the the general cutoff point is season 10 for people, and it's on, like, season, what, 31 or 32 now? I don't actually know if it's that. What season is Simpsons on? I also don't know who's watching it. Like, I don't know who's tuning into new episodes of The Simpsons. Maybe it's actually great and nobody fucking knows about it because nobody watches it. Yeah, they're on season 32 now. So I don't know. My general maxim is usually the third season of a show is the best, in my opinion. And then it's usually, once you get past, like, season 6, that's kind of like, some shows get bad before that, but it's usually after season 6 that, like, I don't know, there's usually a significant decline in quality. And also, just with being on that long, as I've talked about before, stuff from the early 2000s, even as something as recent as that, had a different feel to it. So yeah, Wallace will not follow you to the button unless you kill the big spiky thing, which took me about 9,000 hours to do. And once again, I slammed down on it, or next to it, I don't really know. And like when it had its spikes in, and it died, and like I did that, I cut it out because there were several minutes of me fucking up a lot of things in this section, specifically this whole jumping area. And it didn't do it, so I don't know. This game confuses me sometimes. But yeah, stuff from then has a different feel than stuff from now, and most of the time, I don't like it as much. And I can't really say why. It's difficult to articulate.